Honorable authorities, keynote speakers, esteemed members of the Secretariat, President and Co-President of the International Court of Justice, fellow officers, delegates, MUN directors, distinguished and respected guests, indispensable members of press and admin, good afternoon. I am Alice Fregoso, and today I will serve as mistress of the opening ceremony. Needless to say, I am deeply honored to welcome you all to the official opening ceremony of the 23rd annual session of Genoa Model United Nations, titled Boats Against the Current. Without any more hesitation, I would like to officially start today's opening ceremony. It is my pleasure to give the floor to our Secretary General, Giovanni Callera. Mr. Secretary General, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mistress of Ceremony, for the floor. Fellow members of the Secretariat and heads of the Executive, esteemed chairs, inspiring delegates, hardworking admin and press teams, members of the ICJ and all MUN directors and guests, good afternoon. I'm Giovanni Callera, and I have the honor of serving as Secretary General for my 5th and final GeMUN. This year's theme, Boats Against the Current, is drawn from The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. In the novel, the image carries a deeply pessimistic meaning. It suggests that no matter how hard we strive, we are endlessly pulled back into the past, struggling against forces stronger than ourselves. Yet, today, we choose to reinterpret those words, embracing the idea of conscious resistance. And to make this choice even clearer, I would like to share with you a myth that embodies this spirit, that of Icarus. We have all heard this classic tale before, a cautionary story about being prudent and respecting the boundaries imposed by others. Recently, a modern interpretation of the myth depicts an Icarus who laughed as he fell, for he knew that to fall means to once have soared. This is the spirit I wish you to carry, not only in our debates, but throughout your lives. Too often, we hear messages that discourage us from taking risks and dreaming big, while urging us to accept the status quo. Messages that tell us to travel between the extremes, much like Daedalus once advised his son. Yet, progress has never belonged to those who drift with the current, but to those who dare to row against it. We face a multitude of challenges, and regardless of their scale, we must confront them with resolute confidence. To dare is to triumph, even if we stumble, slow down, or even encounter setbacks along the way. Now, more than ever, we need the courage to soar to new heights as we tackle climate change, conflict, injustice, and inequality. It is our responsibility to envision peace where conflict seems inevitable, to promote dialogue over violence, and to advocate for cooperation rather than division. Let us boldly embrace our solutions. What may appear utopian today is destined to become tomorrow's reality. Every effort, no matter how imperfect, stands as a testament to our commitment to driving change, especially in these crucial times when silence is not an option. And this is the true legacy left by Icarus, not the dramatic fall, but the freedom of having touched the sky. As you take on your roles and become dreamers during these 3 days of debate, do not cut your wings, look up and choose the sun, because our world needs young people who are willing to soar and even laugh in the face of failure if it means daring to make it better. Thank you, Mr. Ceremony. I yield the floor back to you.
Thank you, Giovanni, for your speech. I now have the honor of passing the floor to Assessora del Comune di Genova, Rita Bruzzone. Mrs. Bruzzone is going to deliver her speech in Italian, so our English teacher, Daniele Orlando, is going to translate for us. Mrs. Bruzzone and Mr. Orlando, the floor is yours.
Grazie, buongiorno a tutte e a tutti. Non solo ai giovani e alle giovani studentesse, ma naturalmente a tutte le forze istituzionali, le figure istituzionali che sono qui oggi, alla Fulgis, perché, come ci viene ricordato, e naturalmente a tutte le scuole presenti, è compito e grandissimo merito quello di organizzare oramai da 24 anni la possibilità che a Genova ci sia GeMUN.
Thank you for the floor. Dear guests, all of the authorities, the institutions, all of the students, and Fulgis especially, thank you for the invitation. It's an honor to speak at the 24th edition of GeMUN.
Ok. Sono molto onorata di essere qui con la fascia della sindaca, perché oggi io porto qui a voi i saluti di Silvia Salis e di tutta l'amministrazione comunale.
I'm here in representation of the mayor, Silvia Salis, whom I'm representing here today.
Partecipazione, confronto, dialogo, relazione dei giovani, delle giovani, incontro e non scontro.
Your participation as students, meeting, arguing when necessary, is the key to this event.
Le giovani e i giovani hanno diritto di partecipare a tutti i processi
Young people have the right to participate in all of the policy making and decision making processes,
come è dichiarata all'interno della Dichiarazione universale dei diritti dell'infanzia e dell'adolescenza.
as recognized by the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child.
Quello di cui abbiamo necessità a
What we
livello
urgently
internazionale
need at the international level
è di mettere al centro i vostri diritti,
is to place at the center your rights,
perché vivete questo pianeta
because you leave this planet
con le sue
with all
contraddizioni
of its contradictions,
geopolitiche
both geopolitical
e nella sua precarietà per un futuro sempre più incerto.
and all of its social uncertainties in a future that is still growing uncertain,
Segnato da conflitti,
which is marked by conflicts, rising
nazionalizzazioni,
nationalism,
crisi climatiche,
climate crisis,
sfruttamento del
the
sole e dell'acqua
exploitation of water and soil resources,
e diseguaglianze,
and inequalities.
ma ancora di più verso chi deve ancora nascere,
And most importantly, against those that
perché
still
stiamo
are to
consegnando
be
un
born.
mondo fragile ed
What we are
insicuro.
delivering today is a very fragile world.
È responsabilità etica e civile da parte delle
It is a
istituzioni
fundamental civic and ethical responsibility for the institutions
promuovere la partecipazione
to encourage participation
alla vita sociale e politica,
in social and political life,
ad un'analisi dei fenomeni geopolitici mondiali, non solo locali.
to analyze global geopolitical phenomena, not just at the local level, but national and
Perché
international,
sarebbe come chiudere gli occhi.
because that will mean closing our eyes.
Nulla accade nel mondo, anche in luoghi lontani,
Nothing happens in the world, not even in remote places distant from us,
che non ci riguardi,
that we don't really consider related to us,
perché essere globali
because being global means
che un conflitto, anche distante da noi, possa generare
that conflict, no matter how far, may generate
migrazioni,
migrations,
possa causare l'estensione di un conflitto,
may extend a conflict,
scatenare l'ingerenza di stati forti che promuovano azioni che non necessariamente
and
siano
trigger the
portatrici di
interference of
pace.
powerful states whose actions not necessarily promote peace.
Gli interessi economici di pochi
The economic interests of few
sono causa di povertà e diseguaglianza nel mondo,
often lead to poverty and inequality in the world,
di crisi climatiche e
climate
di pericolose
crisis,
regressioni.
and dangerous regressions.
Noi siamo al centro del Mediterraneo,
We stand at the heart of the Mediterranean,
eppure questo paese ha perso molto della sua capacità
and yet our
diplomatica,
country has lost so much of its diplomatic
che aveva
skills
assegnato
that
al
had
nostro
marked,
paese un ruolo centrale.
that had attributed to a country a very important role.
Ecco, quello che emergerà in questi giorni da qui potrebbe essere una rotta da tracciare.
Hopefully, this is the path you're going to track in the upcoming few days.
Sicuramente chiediamo a voi moltissimo coraggio
What we ask of you is huge courage.
e a noi la capacità dell'ascolto del vostro coraggio.
Well, we have the responsibility to listen to your courage.
L'invito è quello che esercitiate
Our
sempre
invitation is to
la
constantly
democrazia
exercise your right to
e la
democracy
libertà.
and freedom.
A noi, ripeto, il grandissimo coraggio di accogliere il messaggio che voi ci state
And
consegnando.
once again, let me repeat, it's our duty as adults to listen to your courage that you're delivering to us.
E quindi a voi la capacità di tracciare rotte che noi dovremo seguire. Buon lavoro a tutte e a tutti.
Enjoy.
Thank you, Mrs. Lazzari and Mr. Orlando. I'm deeply honored to now welcome the Liceo Musicale Sandro Pertini's musical ensemble.
Davanti perché i soprani sono voi sotto. Io li allontanerei leggermente. Perché sì, ma una roba se non puoi immaginare. No, mi sono dimenticato la luce.
Dios guardó el lobo de nuestra cordera, Riu, riu, chirula, guarda ribera. Dios guardó el lobo de nuestra cordera, Dios guardó el lobo de nuestra cordera. El lobo rabioso la quiso morder, mas Dios poderoso la supo defender. Quiso la hacer que no puede ser pecar, mi original.
Thank you, students, for your remarkable performance. It is now my pleasure to give the floor to our respectable Presidente della Fondazione Fulgis, Tiziana Lazzari, and our teacher, Daniel Orlando, is going to translate in English. Mrs. Lazzari and Mr. Orlando, you have the floor.
Buongiorno a tutte e a tutti, autorità, docenti, ospiti e soprattutto ragazze e ragazzi che da oggi darete voce e volto a questa straordinaria esperienza. Per me è un onore essere qui a rappresentare la Fulgis nella mia Genova, nella suggestiva cornice della Sala del Maggior Consiglio di Palazzo Ducale per l'apertura del GeMUN, 24esima edizione. Un ringraziamento sincero va alla direzione GeMUN e al Liceo Linguistico Internazionale Grazia Deledda che da anni portano avanti con tenacia e visione un progetto capace di unire formazione, confronto, internazionalità e crescita personale. Ringrazio le istituzioni che lo sostengono e lo rendono possibile: il Comune di Genova, la Regione Liguria, l'Università, la Camera di Commercio e tutti i partner coinvolti. E permettetemi un ringraziamento particolare a chi ha voluto la mia presenza oggi, affidandomi questa nomina e questa opportunità. La considero un segno di fiducia che mi onora e che intendo ricambiare con la massima attenzione e con il più alto impegno possibile, soprattutto in occasioni di appuntamenti speciali di questo tipo.
Good afternoon to you all, the authorities, teachers, guests, and above all, the young women and men who, starting today, will lend their voices and faces to this extraordinary experience. For me, it's an honor to be here in my hometown, Genova, in the magnificent setting of the Sala del Maggior Consiglio at Palazzo Ducale for the opening of GeMUN. My sincere thanks go to the GeMUN director and to the Liceo Linguistico Internazionale Deledda, which for 24 years have now carried forward with extreme determination and a strong vision, a project capable of combining education, international dialogue, and personal growth. I also thank the institutions that support and make it possible: the municipality, Comune di Genova, Regione Liguria, University, Camera di Commercio, and all the partners involved. Also, allow me to extend a special thanks to those who wished for my presence here today, entrusting me with this opportunity. I consider it a sign of trust that honors me and one that I intend to repay with the utmost attention and the highest level of commitment, especially on special occasions such as this.
Fulgis è una realtà che nasce e lavora sul territorio con un'idea
Fulgis is an organization rooted in
semplice ma
the
potente.
territory, built around a simple
Investire sui giovani,
yet powerful
sulla
idea,
formazione,
investing in young
sulle
people,
opportunità e
education,
sulla costruzione
opportunities,
di contesti
and the
in cui
creation
le
of
persone
environments
possano
where
crescere e fiorire.
individuals can grow and
Perché
flourish.
credo che su questi
Because I
possiamo essere
believe,
tutti d'accordo,
and I think we all
dove
believe,
esistono opportunità,
that where
ascolto,
opportunities,
educazione,
listening,
cultura e sport
education,
e reti di
culture,
sostegno,
sports, and support
semplicemente
networks
esista meglio.
there exist,
Le fragilità
people
si
live better.
intercettano prima.
Vulnerabilities can be
Prevengono
identified
molte
earlier,
difficoltà,
difficulties
la
can
qualità
be
della vita
prevented,
migliora davvero.
and the quality of life
Non per slogan,
genuinely
ma per
improves.
esperienza concreta.
And this is not just a slogan, it's a
È anche
lived
per questo che
experience.
ho accettato questo incarico.
This is also the reason why I accepted this role,
Durante il mio mandato,
with the aim of contributing during my mandate to
e lasciare un'impronta
results that can be measured
soprattutto per
and
i
leave a
giovani
meaningful mark, especially for the
In
youth and
fondo, a
children.
ben pensarci, è anche
After
questo un
all,
modo
when we
molto
think about it,
concreto di fare
this too is a
prevenzione,
very
una
real
prevenzione che
form of
conosco da medico.
prevention,
Creare ambienti
a type
che
of prevention that I
promuovono
know as a
benessere,
physician,
consapevolezza e
creating environments
responsabilità.
that promote well-being, awareness, and responsibility.
Arrivo al cuore di ciò che succederà in questi giorni.
And this brings me to the heart of what will happen over the
Per
next
fare
few
una
days.
cosa che oggi
The reason
sembra
you're
quasi
here today
rivoluzionaria.
is to do something that
Provare a
almost
capire
seems
il mondo,
revolutionary,
un
to
mondo
try and
che
understand the
oggi
world,
pare
a world that
sempre più
feels
complicato e pericoloso.
increasingly complex and dangerous, but you must do it with a method, discussing it while respecting shared rules. People often shout to prove they're right, but you're choosing the most difficult and modern way. That is to listen, to research, to argue, to mediate.
Questo per me è il senso profondo del Model United Nations.
This, to me, is the deepest meaning of Model United Nations. It's not just a role-play game to pretend you're adults, nor a rhetorical exercise to learn how to speak properly. This is serious training, almost a civic gymnasium, to truly become adults. In the way you reason, you make decisions, you respect others, and you take responsibility for your own words. Because growing up, after all, means not just having ready-made answers, but rather it means learning how to face the most difficult questions without running away. Here you're going to learn how to come to real solutions that rarely arise from aggressive simplification, which is seductive because it gives you the illusion of control, but it divides the world into good and evil. It turns complex problems into convenient culprits. It reduces reality to a slogan that fits on a single line. But in real life, and even more so in international politics, aggressive simplification almost always leads to two effects. It raises the volume, but it lowers the quality. We speak louder, but we understand less. And above all, it makes us feel like we're right without even having made the effort to understand situations or people. Navigating complexity is something else entirely. It means accepting that every important issue, be it human rights, climate, health, security, economy, has many facets and many consequences, which often are in conflict with one another. It means discovering that a decision that protects one group may harm another if it's not carefully thought through. That a fair principle can become unjust if applied without a context. That compromises are not always weaknesses, but sometimes they're the only way to avoid breaking everything. Above all, it means learning humility. Understanding that your point of view is not the reality, it is part of reality. And to approach the full picture, you must also learn how to listen to what makes you uncomfortable. We need a compass, and that compass to you is your method. And that is the most precious thing that an experience like GeMUN can offer you. The ability to distinguish between an opinion and real facts, between emotions and evidence. Your compass is the discipline of shared rules, of a language that won't humiliate, of an objection that does not become an insult, and of firmness that doesn't become arrogance. It's the art of saying, I disagree without saying you are worthless, and today, that's an extremely rare skill. It's easy to appear as grown-ups for a minute. You just need a striking phrase, a post on Instagram, a sharp remark. But it's much harder to train to truly become one. To build a position for yourself, to support it with data, keeping it open to correction, and above all, seeking a common ground without betraying fundamental principles. In other words, it means to learn how to decide without dehumanizing. And when I say you shouldn't lose your compass, this is what I mean. You shouldn't lose sight of what truly matters. You shouldn't be hypnotized by dramatic gestures or rhetorical victories. You shouldn't confuse being right with having a reasonable chance at improving reality. Diplomacy doesn't reward those who shout the loudest, it rewards those who create the conditions for change. Even just a small change, even slow change, but real change. When you think about it, this lesson applies beyond these walls, in daily life, relationships, work, citizenship.
Quando impari a stare nella complessità con una bussola,
When you learn to
diventi
navigate
libero,
complexity with your
perché non sei
compass,
più
you
balia
become
della
free.
paura,
You're no
della
longer at the
fretta,
mercy of
della
fear,
polarizzazione.
haste, or polarization.
Sai guardare un problema e dire, ok,
You can look at a problem
sono
and say,
interessi diversi,
there are different
sofferenze
interests
diverse,
here, different sufferings,
prospettive diverse.
different perspectives.
Vediamo cosa è giusto,
Let's see what
cosa è
is right,
possibile
what's
e come
possible,
si può fare un passo avanti senza lasciare
and how we can
indietro.
take a step forward without leaving anyone behind.
Ecco perché GeMUN è in fondo un laboratorio di maturità.
This is why GeMUN is, in essence, a lab
Non vi
of
chiede
of
di
maturity.
recitare la parte degli adulti.
It doesn't require you to act like adults. It asks you to acquire the tools to become
E se
adults.
anche solo una parte di questo
And even if
metodo vi resta addosso,
part of this
il
method
rispetto,
stays with you,
l'ascolto, la
respect,
precisione,
listening,
la responsabilità,
precision, responsibility,
allora non sarà stata un'esperienza
then this will not
scolastica.
have
Sarà
been
stato
just a
un
school
pezzo di
experience, but
formazione alla
rather
democrazia.
training
E oggi
in democracy.
è una delle cose più
And today, let me
controcorrenti
tell
che si
you,
possa
this is
fare.
one of the most controversial things one can do.
Il tema di quest'anno è bellissimo e impegnativo.
This year's theme is beautiful and demanding and entirely coherent with the maritime tradition of this ancient city. Boats against the torrent. Choose evolution, not regression.
Barche contro corrente. Scegliere l'evoluzione, non la regressione. Sono parole che sembrano poetiche, ma in realtà
These words may sound
pongono una
poetic,
domanda politica,
but they actually
civile
pose
e
a
morale.
political, civic, and moral
Che cos'è
question.
oggi l'evoluzione?
What is evolution today?
È la capacità di cambiare rotta
It's
quando i
the,
fatti
it's the
cambiano.
ability to change your
Di
course when
correggersi,
facts change,
imparare.
to correct yourself, to
È la
learn.
forza di dire non lo so ancora.
It's the
invece
strength to
di
say,
inventare
I don't know yet,
comode.
rather than inventing
È
convenient
la
answers.
scelta di costruire soluzioni che includano invece di
It is the
dividere.
choice to build inclusive solutions rather than
La
divisive ones.
regressione, invece,
Regression, on the other hand,
spesso è silenziosa. Non
is often
arriva sempre
silent.
come un evento drammatico.
It doesn't always arrive as a dramatic event.
È strisciante.
Sometimes it's a habit, it
E
creeps
quando
slowly.
rinunciamo a capire,
It's when
preferiamo
we
lo
give up
slogan,
trying to understand
quando la
and we prefer
paura
slogans.
diventa una
It's when
scorciatoia,
fear becomes a
quando si
shortcut.
sostituisce il confronto con la
And when
tifoseria.
debate is replaced by fun-like partisanship.
Da medico vedo questa differenza ogni giorno. In
As a physician, I see this
evoluzione e
difference every
rigore,
day.
ricerca,
In my field, evolution means
formazione
rigor,
continua,
research,
responsabilità.
continuous education, and
E
responsibility.
affidarsi alle evidenze e non alle
It
credenze.
means trusting evidence, not belief.
E curare con competenza, ma anche con umanità.
It means treating with competence, but also with humanity.
E comprendere che dietro ogni sintomo
It
c'è
means
una
understanding
persona,
that behind every
una storia.
symptom, there's a person, a story, a very fragile balance.
La regressione è l'opposto.
Regression is the
L'abbandono del
opposite,
metodo,
abandoning a
la
method,
disinformazione,
spreading misinformation,
la fiducia spostata dal sapere al pregiudizio,
shifting
la
trust
tentazione di curare le paure
from
invece
knowledge
dei
to
problemi.
prejudice, attempting to treat fears instead of problems.
E non è un discorso astratto.
And this is not abstract.
Quando la società regredisce sul
When
piano
society
della cultura
regresses
scientifica e sanitaria,
in scientific and
a pagare il
health
prezzo,
culture, the
prezzi
most
più alti
vulnerable
sono quasi sempre i più fragili.
are
Tra i
those
più
that pay the
fragili,
highest price.
inevitabilmente, ci sono i
And among the
giovani
most
e i bambini.
vulnerable are inevitably young people and children.
Ecco perché mi sta particolarmente a cuore parlare di salute in un contesto come questo. Salute non
This is the
significa
reason why
soltanto assenza di
This is so
malattie.
important.
Significa accesso alle cure, prevenzione, qualità della vita, sostegno psicologico. ai
Health
nostri
means
giovani,
access to care,
ambienti
prevention,
sani,
quality of
opportunità e
life,
crescita.
psychological support, health environments, and educational opportunities.
Significa anche una parola che spesso dimentichiamo.
It also means something we tend to forget,
Perché la salute
equality.
non dovrebbe
Because
dipendere
health
dalla
shouldn't depend
possibilità di
on
arrivare prima, dal reddito.
your privilege, on your income.
E quando parliamo di giovani e bambini, parliamo del futuro nella forma
When we
più
talk about
concreta.
children, we talk about future in the
Parlare
realest of its
di
form.
salute per loro vuol dire parlare di nutrizione, di movimento,
When we talk
di
about
sonno, di benessere mentale, di contrasto alle dipendenze,
Healthcare, we talk about
ma anche
education,
di sicurezza, di
contrast-
protezione dalla violenza, di tutela del diritto, di accesso ai servizi che funzionano.
In recent years, we have learned that health is never purely individual, it's social. Inequalities appear in bodies and minds. So social fragilities become health fragilities, and true evolution cannot be only technological, it must also be cultural and civic. We must evolve as communities, learning to care for those left behind.
Mi piace che questa cerimonia si
I'm very pleased that this ceremony
anche con lo sport e con
intersects
l'olimpismo.
also with sport and the Olympics at a time when Italy is experiencing the excitement of the Milan Cortina Winter Olympics and the extraordinary achievements of our athletes.
Lasciatemi fare i complimenti a tutti coloro che in questi
Sport is one
giorni
of
stanno dando lustro all'Italia, sbriciolando ogni record del medagliere invernale
Let me
azzurro.
express my congratulations to all of those that are collecting
D'altronde,
medals
lo
for
sport
Italy.
è una delle
Sport is one of the
chiare
greatest
dell'evoluzione.
metaphors of evolution.
Migliorare, allenarsi,
Improvement, training,
rispettare le regole,
respecting the rules,
riconoscere il valore dell'avversario,
recognizing your
accettare il limite e
opponent's
lavorarci sopra.
strengths,
È un
accepting your
linguaggio
limits
universale
and overcoming them.
che parla
It's
anche di
a
salute,
universal language,
soprattutto per i giovani.
and it's
Movimento,
most important for the youth.
disciplina, amicizia, senso di appartenenza, e
It's
persino
movement,
resilienza. E l'olimpismo, nella sua
belonging
idea
and
migliore,
resilience. And the
non è
Olympics,
vincere
in
e
its best
basta.
idea, it's not just winning,
è superarsi senza perdere
it's to
rispetto,
overcome your limitations without losing respect.
è competere senza diventare nemici,
It's to compete without becoming enemies.
portare una fiaccola con un testimone che passa, memoria e futuro insieme.
It's to bring the torch as memory and togetherness.
In fondo anche GeMUN è un passaggio di testimoni. In questi giorni vi
GeMUN
metterete
too
nei
is a
panni di
passing of the
altri
torch.
paesi.
Over the next few days, you will step into the shoes of other countries, discuss rights, disarmament, climate, economy, health, and security.
Vi troverete a dover difendere
You
posizioni,
will defend positions,
costruire alleanze,
build alliances,
scrivere risoluzioni,
draft resolutions.
risolvere problemi, non portarli. E imparerete una cosa
You must
decisiva.
learn how to solve problems rather than create new ones. And this is something that you will learn. You will learn that words are powerful
Possono
tools
costruire ponti,
that can build
o
bridges
scavare trincee,
or dig trenches.
possono curare o ferire,
They can heal or wound.
possono creare fiducia o alimentare paura.
They can create trust or fuel fear.
Qui avete la
Here
possibilità
today you have the
di
chance
usarle per
to use
costruire
them to
veramente.
build.
Se posso lasciarvi un
If
messaggio
I may leave you
finale,
with one final message,
è questo. Non
This
abbiate
is,
paura della
do
complessità.
not fear complexity.
La complessità non è un difetto
Complexity
del mondo.
is not a flaw
La
in this
complessità
world.
è il mondo.
Complexity is our world.
E la vita così com'è, fatta di sfumature,
Life made of
interessi
shades
diversi,
and different interests,
di conseguenze non immediate, di
of
scelte
unexpected
che
consequences,
chiedono tanta
of choices that
responsabilità.
require your responsibility.
La scorciatoia invece spesso è
Shortcuts
una
often
regressione travestita da
represent
semplicità.
regression disguised as simplicity.
Promette chiarezza,
It promises
ma taglia
clarity,
via pezzi di realtà.
but cuts away pieces of reality.
Promette soluzioni
It
rapide,
promises quick
ma
solutions,
lascia problemi più
but leaves
grandi.
larger problems.
Promette certezze,
Promises
ma si nutre di
certainties,
paure.
but it feeds on fear.
E quando la scorciatoia diventa uno stile,
And when
la
a
società
shortcut
si
becomes your
impoverisce.
style, society demolishes.
Si smette di capire,
You stop
si smette
understanding,
di
you
ascoltare,
stop
si
listening,
smette di cercare,
you stop looking for
si
answers,
smette in fondo di crescere.
you stop learning.
Essere barche controcorrente oggi significa scegliere l'evoluzione ogni giorno, con gesti
Being boats against the
concreti,
current today means
studiare davvero,
evolving every single day,
informarsi bene,
studying,
verificare,
getting informed,
distinguere tra fatti e opinioni,
distinguishing between facts and opinions,
rifiutare le semplificazioni aggressive che dividono il
rejecting
mondo
aggressive
in tifoserie.
simplifications.
Significa non accontentarsi della prima risposta
It means
comoda.
not settling for the easiest answer,
Non credere al cinismo che dice tanto non cambia nulla.
not yielding to cynicism,
Non lasciarsi convincere che la realtà
and not
sia
believing that
immodificabile
reality cannot be changed.
e che l'unica cosa intelligente sia arrendersi.
And the only way out is to give up.
Perché invece il mondo cambia
Because the world
e
changes,
voi rappresentate il cambiamento.
and
Il
you
mondo
represent
cambia sempre
change. The world constantly changes,
e soprattutto cambia se
and above all,
voi
it changes when
decidete di
you
essere parte
choose to
della
be part of the solution.
con le parole che scegliete,
Through the words you
con il
select,
rispetto con cui
the
ascoltate,
respect with which you listen,
con il coraggio di cambiare idea
the
quando
courage to
serve
change your mind when necessary,
e con la pazienza, che è una forma
and
di
patience,
forza,
which is a form of
di
strength,
costruire un passo alla volta
to build step by step
che sembra possibile
what may
tutto
seem
insieme.
impossible all at once.
Vi auguro di vivere GeMUN con intensità.
I wish you to live this experience,
Ma anche
GeMUN,
con
with
gioia.
intensity, but also with joy.
Portatevi a casa idee,
Take home with you ideas, questions,
amicizie e
friendships,
consapevolezza.
awareness,
E portatevi a casa una
and take home with you
responsabilità.
a responsibility.
Quando finisce il Model United Nations, la
When
realtà
GeMUN ends,
comincia.
reality
E
begins.
sarete voi,
And
un
one
giorno
day,
non lontano, a
You're going to be the
sedervi ai
ones
tavoli
who are going to
verdi.
sit at the real
Grazie a tutti.
tables. Thank you. I yield the floor back to the Mistress of Ceremony.
Thank you, Mrs. Lazzari and Mr. Orlando. It is now my sincere pleasure to invite the writer and journalist Valerio Iafrate. Mr. Iafrate, you have the floor.
Thanks for the floor. It's a very big honor for me to be here with you. I see some Olympic torches behind me. And now I'd like to talk with you how sport can become a tool for peace. I'm a journalist. I'm a sportive journalist. Also, I'm a writer. I'm involved in 11 edition of the Olympic Games, winter and the Olympic Games. So I'd like to talk with you with the Olympic Games and the spirit of Ekeikeria. Ekeikeria is a great word that means Olympic truce. What if the most powerful diplomatic tool in the world were not a treaty, not a summit, not a negotiation table, but a stadium? What if, for a brief moment, competition could replace conflict and rivalry could transform into respect? I'd like to reflect with you today how sport can become a genuine instrument of peace and why the Olympic Games, inspired by the ancient principle of Ekeikeria, the Olympic truce, represent one of humanity's most enduring experiments in peaceful coexistence. In the ancient Greece, around 67-6 before Christ, the city-states were often at war. Yet, every 4 years, something extraordinary appeared. They declared Ekeikeria, a sacred truce. This was not merely a symbolic pose. It was a binding agreement that allowed athletes and spectators to travel safely to Olympia. Weapons were laid down, hostilities were suspended, and safe passage were guaranteed. For a limited time, war gave away the competition. The Olympic Games become more than sport. They become a shared civic ritual, a reminder that even adversary could exist within rules, fairness, and mutual respect. The lesson was simple, but revolutionary. Conflict can be transformed, regulated, sublimated, without violence, of course. When Pierre de Coubertin revived the Olympic Games in 1997 in Athens, he did not simply want to organize competition. He envisioned sport as an educational and diplomatic tool. De Coubertin believed that international sport could promote mutual understanding among nations. Young people, like you all, competing under shared rules would learn discipline, respect, and fairness. National meetings on the field might avoid meeting on the battlefield. The Olympic movement was born not only as an athletic project, but as a moral and cultural one. Because sports speaks a universal language. Sports not require translation. not depend on ideology, and not ask about religion or political alignment. When athletes line up at the start, they are equals before the rules. Consider a moment in the Olympic history. Athletes from rival nations embracing after every competition. Joint delegation marching under a shared flag. Refugee athletes competing not for a state, but for humanity. For example, during the 2008 Winter Olympic Games in Pyeongchang, athletes from North and South Korea marched together under a united flag, a symbolic gesture that temporarily eased diplomatic tensions. Sport cannot solve geopolitical conflicts alone, but can create symbolic opening where dialogue becomes possible. In modern times, the Olympic truce has been revived symbolically through resolution adopted by the United Nations before each Olympic Games. The idea is clear. During the Games and during the Paralympic Games, nations are invited to cease hostilities and promote peaceful dialogue. While reality often falls short of ideal, the principle matters. It reminds that the world, that peace is not unaffected, is not simple, requires ritual and repetition, can be rehearsed, even is imperfectly. The Olympic truce is a moral reminder that humanity shares more than it divides. The peace-building power of sports extends beyond mega events. In post-conflict societies, mixed teams bring together children from opposing communities. In refugee camps, I saw many refugee camps, football tournaments restore dignity and structure. In divided city, shared sporting space creates natural grounds for encounter. Sport does not erase difference, but it regulates. On the field, conflict is channeled into rules, referee, and respect. Competition becomes a civilizing force. We must also be honest. Sports can be manipulated for propaganda, for exclusion, for nationalism. The Olympic Games have not always pretended war. They have sometimes mirrored global tensions, but this not invalidate the ideal. It strengthens the responsibility of institutions, the athletes and organizers to defend sports' ethical mission. Peace through sports is not automatic, but is a choice. Ladies and gentlemen, when ancient Greek city-states agreed to Ekeikeria, they made the radical decision to suspend violence and trust in rules. The Olympic Games are a recurring experiment in the same decision. Every time athletes compete peacefully, they demonstrate a fundamental truth. Human beings can confront each other without destroying each other. Sports transforms rivalry into recognition, replaces hostility with a handshake, turns confrontation into celebration. In a world often divided by borders, ideologies, the stadium becomes a rare shared space. Perhaps does not begin with grand theatres. Perhaps it begins with a whistle, a starting line, and the courage to compete without hatred. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Iafrate. It is now an honor for me to pass the floor to our guest speaker, Natalia Andrusenko. Ms. Andrusenko, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. It's a true honor to be here today at the opening ceremony of GeMUN in Genova. I welcome all of leaders, students, and guests present. My name is Natalia Andrusenko. I'm an engineer from Ukraine. I'm working with Rina here in Genova and also represent the United Nations Foundation in renewable energy projects and also women's rights. Thank you to GeMUN inviting me and give me this chance to speak. As we gather, we remember how vital peace is. News often highlights conflicts, but it's crucial we focus on working together for our harmony. Young people, it's our key, our better future. Their world has challenges, climate changes, environment, social problems, but these are also our biggest changes to build our fair, lasting world together. Our future depends on our youth. They are tomorrow's thinker, leaders, and change maker. We must give them knowledge, skills, and value they need. And this brings me to personal story. As a woman who has seen the horror of war, I remember interrogation. It was cold winter. A 10-year-old girl sat next to me, and she wore a hat. When asked to remove it for ID, she bared of her face in her mother's coat and cried. They had escaped from Mariupol, a city, as you know, completely destroyed. No water, no electricity, means no washing. She was cut, her cat, she was bald. She was terrified. She couldn't even speak. This girl shouldn't build our future, but she can't go to school. Bombs fall constantly. There is no water, no light. It must not happen right now. War destroys everything. Childhood, learning, hope, the every future. But GeMUN, with its focus of education, new ideas, teams works, show us power we need for better future. These meetings offers hope. Young people like this girl from Mariupol can one day have beautiful life. Let's be inspired for our young people. It's our power. Let's help their ideas grow and give them every chance to succeed. As United Nations wisely states, there are no peace without development. No development without women. These truths must guide us. So let's work together, leaders and students, everyone here, especially whose future rests on our choice today. Let us build a world where peace is not just a dream, but real. Where everyday experience for every woman, every child, every generation to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Andrusenko, for your speech. Before we move on with the ceremony, I would like to inform you that tomorrow, from 1:15 to 1:30, we will meet here in Sala del Maggior Consiglio to meet our guest speaker, Andrea Lucchetta. In addition, I would like to remind you that the panel will be open tomorrow from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. I now have the honor of passing the floor to the co-president of the General Assembly of GeMUN 2026. Mrs. Silvia Beccaria, you have the floor.
Distinguished delegates, honorable chairs, hardworking members of admin and press, esteemed guests, and members of ICJ, good afternoon. My name is Silvia Beccaria, and I'm standing here today as co-president of the General Assembly of GeMUN. It's both an honor and an emotional moment for me. Over the past 5 years, GeMUN has been a constant in my academic and personal growth. I want to begin by expressing my deepest gratitude to everyone with whom I have had the privilege to collaborate. I would like to thank the Secretariat, dear friends of mine, Giovanni, Pietro, Beatrice, Anita, and Alice, and the organizing team, who works behind the scenes long before and long after the conference, especially the heads of admin, Matilde, Iris, Matteo, and Greta, and the heads of press, Petra and Beatrice. I would also like to extend my sincere gratitude to the MUN directors, Prof. Battelli and Prof. Lanzoni, but also Prof. Piana and Prof. Massa for their guidance and support in helping make this event possible. A note of thanks goes also to the assistants, Emma and Emma, for their significant support in organization of the ceremonies and the coordinations of interventions. To all the delegations, this conference is yours. Engage fully, speak boldly, listen actively, and debate respectfully. Do not be afraid to defend your ideas, but remain open to compromise and collaboration. The strength of this conference lies not only in well-written resolutions, but in the quality of dialogue that leads to them. Let's remind you of an important moment that awaits us on Saturday morning, the GA plenary. During that session, delegates from all Generation Assembly committees will come together to debate selected resolutions passed throughout the week. I will have the honor of co-chairing that plenary with my esteemed colleague and friend, Anita Parodi. I once again encourage each committee to strive for discussions that are substantive and constructive. Thank you, and I yield the floor back to the Mistress of Ceremony, Alice. Thank you.
Thank you, Silvia. It is now my pleasure to give the floor to the co-president of the International Court of Justice of GeMUN 2026, Costanza Anastasi. Mrs. Co-President, you have the floor.
Honorable members of the Secretariat, fellow chairs and delegates, indispensable members of admin and press, good afternoon. I'm Costanza Anastasi, and this year I have the honor of serving as co-president of the ICJ, the International Court of Justice. I'd like to start my speech by thanking you all for taking part in this wonderful project. Your presence truly matters. I've been thinking a lot about the future lately. The same future that some time ago felt so distant, almost unimaginable for me, now feels imminent. I've been worrying about it, about how we can make a real difference, which to me sounds a bit complex. It is not that I lack faith in our generation. On the contrary, I really believe we count, even individually. It's just that by growing older, I've started to realize more clearly how important it is to make a change. People say we, the youngsters, are the future. And even if it may sound obvious, almost like a cliché, it's really not. We live in a period of time where powerful people govern the world like they're playing some sort of board game. A period of time where lives of innocent civilians are being manipulated every day, where the fate of their own future is not being determined by themselves, but controlled by those same powerful people I just mentioned. I'm talking about citizens who are being expatriated from their home solely because of their origin. I'm talking about people whose home country has become a risky place to live in. The same country they once felt safe in now feels so hostile. What I wish to convey with my speech is the importance of becoming aware of how the world is actually ruled by some few people who selfishly make their own decisions without taking into consideration the impact their choice has over everyone. I began this speech by introducing myself as the co-president of the ICJ, and I would now like to present this court's role and what this year's case is. The ICJ is one of the two main international courts of the United Nations. Its role is to solve disputes between countries in the most diplomatic way as possible, in accordance with international law. This year's case is the 2018 Iran versus the United States of America case. It arose because of some controversies about laws and treaties and because of unilateral decisions and hunger for power. You see, it's strictly linked to the point I was trying to raise earlier. Powerful people like to play with nations. The dynamics underlying this specific dispute are not confined to these two countries. Rather, they are emblematic of patterns we can observe in many other cases and conflicts, not only before the ICJ, but in the real world around us. With that being said, I feel like I ought to express my gratitude to some people who made this experience better for me, who helped me throughout this journey. Members of the court, you have been amazing. I really appreciate your hard work, and I know this next day's trial will be fruitful. Alice De Marchi, President of ICJ, thank you, sincerely. I really liked working with you. MUN Directors, Mr. Lanzoni, Ms. Battelli, and co-MUN Director, Mr. Piana and Ms. Massa, your support to us showed how much you care about GeMUN, and I believe it is amazing. Iris Tana, Head of Admin, Gaia Moruso, Giorgia Bertamini, Members of Admin, and Ortenza Dalti, Delegate, you're my closest friends, and I want to say thank you for standing by my side always. Last but not least, my deepest thanks go to my parents. You're the ones who made all of this possible for me, and if I hadn't received your strong support, I wouldn't be standing here today, doing something I've always wished to do. I believe I should now end this speech with a suggestion to you and to myself also. Let us make a change. Let us break the cycle, especially if that means going against the current. Let us embrace our knowledge and transform it into something useful to write the future. Let's be active players in politics, diplomatic careers, and everything that allows us to have a better understanding of the factors that determine our world. Let us be the ones who will be remembered for making the world a better place. I wish you all an enriching experience. Thank you. I give the floor back to the Mistress of Ceremony.
Thank you, Costanza. It is now my pleasure to give the floor to the heads of press of GeMUN 2026. Mrs. Petra Porcu and Beatrice Perrino, you have the floor.
Esteemed MUN directors, secretariat, admin and press members, and distinguished guests, good afternoon. My name is Beatrice Perrino, and I'm truly honored to serve as head of press for GeMUN 2026. What began in my first year of high school has turned into a meaningful journey of learning, responsibility, and personal growth. I'm grateful for the trust placed in me and proud of the work accomplished together with my colleague and friend Petra and all the members of our press team. I would like to thank our secretariat, MUN directors, and every single person behind the organization and those who have made this event possible. This experience has been both challenging and rewarding, and one I will always value. Thank you all.
Esteemed MUM directors, secretariat, admin, and press members, members of ICJ, distinguished guests, and dear delegates, good afternoon. My name is Petra Porcu, and I have the honor of serving as head of press for GeMUN 2026. My journey with GeMUN began 5 years ago, and I'm truly proud to be a part of the conference once again in this role. It is a privilege to be a part of such an important and inspiring event. I would like to sincerely thank our MUN directors and junior MUN directors for their dedication and hard work in making GeMUN 2026 possible. I would also like to thank the Secretariat for their constant support and dedication. It really means a great deal to me, and I sincerely appreciate the trust and collaboration we share. Special thanks goes to Beatrice Perrino for her constant support and encouragement throughout this journey, and to Matilde. We have grown side by side and supporting each other throughout the stressful moments as well as the beautiful ones, always standing by each other along the way. Before concluding, I would like to remind you that you can find a QR code inside the conference rooms to access the official GeMUN newspaper created by the Press Department. Now we are pleased to present a video summarizing the events that have brought us here today. Thank you all very much, and I wish you all a successful and memorable GeMUN.
Thank you, Heads of Press, for your speeches, and thank you, Press Team, for having prepared this video. With great pleasure, I now give the floor to the MUN Directors, Chiara Battelli and Igor Lanzoni. Dear MUN Directors, you have the floor.
Civil and military authorities, representatives of Genova municipality, Your Excellencies, institutional representative, fellow MUN directors, distinguished guests, member of a Secretariat International Court of Justice, honorable officers, delegates, and indispensable member of admin, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great respect and honor we extend our warmest greetings to all of you in this GeMUN opening ceremony.
Boats against the current reminds us that progress is never to be taken for granted, and neither is what we think we have already achieved. It requires intention, courage, and the willingness to move forward, even when the tide pulls us back. Today, as we begin this Father United Nations Conference, I invite each one of you to choose progress over regression, dialogue over silence, and cooperation over division.
Never like today, some famous words that we'll mention shortly are so actual with infinite echo. We refuse to accept the cynical notion that nation after nation must spiral down a militaristic stairway in the help of thermonuclear destruction. We believe that in armed trust and unconditional love, we'll have the final word in reality. This is why right temporary defeat is stronger than evil triumphal. We believe that even when today mortar bars are winning battles, there is still hope for brighter tomorrow. We believe that wounded justice, lying prostrate on the blood-flowing street of our nations, can be lifted from this dust of shame to reign supreme among the children of man. We have the audacity to believe that people everywhere can have 3 meals a day for their bodies, education and culture for their mind, and dignity, equality, and freedom for their spirits. We believe that what self-centered men have turned down other-centered men can build up. We still believe that one day making will bow before the altar of God, and we crown triumphant over war and bloodshed, and non-violent redemptive God will proclaim the rule of the land. In the Old Testament, Isaiah, we can find, and the lion and the lamb shall lie down together, and every man shall still under his own vine and fig tree, and none shall be afraid. We still believe that we shall overcome. This fact can give us the courage to face the uncertainties of the future. I will give our tired feet new strength as we continue our forward stride toward the city of freedom. When our days became dreary with low hovering clouds, and our nights become darker than 1,000 midnights, we will know that we are living the creative turmoil of a genuine civilization struggling to be born.
As educators, we do have the audacity to believe that there is hope. Our role is not only to transmit knowledge, but to guide students in understanding the complexity of the world. We aim to provide you with the essential tools you will need beyond this conference, the ability to communicate clearly, to practice diplomacy with respect, and to seek compromise even when perspectives diverge. These are not only academic skills, they are the foundations of responsible global citizenship. In this room, you will represent nations, debate global challenges, and negotiate solutions. Yet the true value of this experience lies in something deeper, learning to listen carefully, to understand cultures different from your own, and to recognize that every issue has multiple viewpoints deserving thoughtful consideration. Progress becomes possible when understanding replaces prejudice and when dialogue replaces confrontation. I encourage each delegate to participate with curiosity, integrity, and an open mind. Speak with conviction, but also with empathy. Defend your positions, but remain willing to build bridges. The world you're preparing to lead needs individuals who know how to transform disagreement into constructive collaboration.
We believe that this UN model nation can be a real inspiration for new generation, as a new perspective to see the world with different eyes and directions. Bring the frame of Prometheus to disseminate inclusion, democracy, and peace. Take an example like Heike Korea Olympic Truth. A model to be active in the society, increasing humanity, solidarity, with higher responsibility, because as a Martin Luther King Nobel Prize said, sooner or later, all the people of the world need to discover a way to live together in peace.
So let this conference be a place where ideas move forward, where together we continue rowing not backward with the current, but forward towards shared progress. Thank you, and we wish you all a productive and inspiring conference.
Thank you, Mrs. Battelli, Mr. Lanzoni, for your speech and your inspiring words. We will now proceed with the opening speeches from the school's delegation. Delegation of Algeria, Austria, China, Democratic Republic of the Congo, Egypt, France, Germany, Iraq, Mexico, Netherlands, Portugal, Serbia, Turkey, USA, and Venezuela. You have the floor in this order. Delegation of Algeria, you have the floor. Algeria, you may now deliver your speech.
Honorable chairs, fellow delegates, esteemed members of staff, security, press, all students, all guests, and everybody in this room, thank you so much for allowing me this podium to speak. I would like to begin our speech with allowing myself a moment to speak as an individual delegate. This will be my last GeMUN, and I would like to thank all the people, all the students, and everyone who has made this a memorable and joyful and fruitful experience for me. We meet at a moment of moral urgency. By the end of 2024, an estimated 123.2 million people were forcibly displaced across the globe, a number that demands more than sympathy. It demands action. And action does not only come from governments, it stems from individuals. Remember, do not use euphemisms to soften current issues and challenges. As Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie continues to express, nuances and euphemisms hide the truth from the narrative. At the same time, internal displacement within Algeria topped 83.4 million, most fleeing violence and conflict inside their own borders. Meanwhile, the tools of war proliferate. Illicit small arms and light weapons fuel local conflicts. More than 1 billion firearms circulate globally, and military spending continues to rise, eroding prospects for disarmament and stability. Speaking as students, we have long championed mediation, respect for sovereignty, and principled multilateral action in all the education we received and debates we participate in. Today, we must deepen and strengthen that commitment. Algeria speaks with urgency and with purpose. Peace is more than the absence of bullets. It is the presence of justice, protection, and opportunity for all. Don't hide the truth with words. Speak it, expose it, and condemn it. Let us choose action over apathy. Let us choose law over impunity, and solidarity over division. Algeria stands ready to lead and to partner, not for prestige, but for the simple dignity of human life. Thank you. We yield the floor.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegation of Austria, you have the floor.
Honorable President, distinguished delegates, and esteemed guests, I am very proud of being here in front of all you today. We are here today not only as delegates, but in order to change and try to solve some of the problems that affect many nations around us. Today and the coming days, we will be facing some social and intercultural issues that in a way also directly concern us. I hope that this day will bring about a change, maybe a small one, in everyone's minds, so that we can achieve large-scale social progress. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegation of China, you may deliver your speech.
Honorable authorities and keynote speakers, fellow members of the Secretariat, President of the International Court of Justice offices, esteemed delegates, GeMUN directors, distinguished and respected guests, indispensable members of the staff. It is with great honor that the delegation of the People's Republic of China addresses this assembly. We gather here as the entrusted voices of billions, carrying their hopes for a stable and prosperous future. Our global community is navigating an era of unprecedented transformation. While technological frontiers expand at a rapid pace, the shadows of inequality and fragmentation persist. Challenges such as climate change, economic volatility, and regional instability do not respect national borders. They remind us that in an increasingly interconnected world, no nation can thrive in isolation. In this era of great change, diplomacy must be our active choice to oppose division and row against the current of instability. China remains steadfast in the belief that dialogue, mutual respect, and win-win cooperation are the only foundations for lasting peace. Guided by the United Nations Charter, China advocates for a multilateralism defined by equity and shared governance. Development must be a universal right, not a privilege reserved for a few. Only by fostering sustainable growth can we build a fair and balanced future. Let this conference transcend mere debate and translate vision into action. We share a common responsibility and a shared destiny. The delegation of China looks forward to a constructive and fruitful session with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate, for your speech. Democratic Republic of the Congo, you have the floor.
Honorable chairs, fellow delegates, dear guests. Welcome to this year's Genova Model United Nations Conference. On behalf of the German boarding school Schule Schloss Salem, I'm truly honored to take part in this enriching experience with all of you. Over the next few days, we will debate important global issues, share different perspectives, and work together to find solutions. Much like the values of Zalem, Model United Nations encourages us to be boats against the current. It encourages us to never back down and not accept things as they come, but to think independently and have the courage to stand up for what is right. Conferences like these challenge us to grow, both intellectually and personally, as we strengthen our ability to think critically, communicate, negotiate, and cooperate with one another. Through further educating ourselves and researching our countries, we gain a deeper understanding of politics and get the chance to experience how it affects us all. At the same time, this conference offers us the opportunity to step outside of our comfort zone, meet new people, and broaden our horizons. I therefore encourage everyone to take something valuable from this experience, respect different opinions, engage in the debates, and make the most of every moment. As the Secretary General, Giovanni Calera, said, not standing still and surrendering to the flow is in itself an act of courage. Bearing this in mind, I wish you all fair discussions, new friendships, and a successful GeMUN Conference 2026. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegation of Egypt, you have the floor.
Distinguished guests, honorable chairs, and fellow delegates, it is with great pleasure and honor that I stand before you. My name is Daila Alexis, and I'm coming from the Lincoln Community School in Ghana. I'm coming from quite far, but that is the beauty of Model United Nation, its capability to unify people of all different backgrounds and allow them to explore perspectives further from themselves. Today, we gather under a theme that highlights the core of the UN, progression. Fellow delegates and esteemed chairs, we mustn't forget that this conference is much more than a simulation. This is especially true in today's political climate, where many rights are forgone and people are neglected for materialistic things. As you debate, remember that each of these issues impact real people and don't disappear once the conference is over. Allow the perspective you engage with guide you towards unification. Let them lead you to hear the voices that are often overlooked. Lastly, I hope that each and every one of you enjoy yourself in this conference, as true change cannot happen in bitterness, but when the heart seeks peace for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate, for your speech. Delegation of France, the floor is yours.
Honorable Chair, distinguished delegates, and esteemed guests. As a delegation of France, we're deeply honored to stand before you today and to participate in this Model United Nations Conference. It's a privilege to gather in a space where diplomacy, dialogue, and cooperation shape our shared future. Under the theme, Boats Against the Current, we are reminded that progress is neither automatic nor permanent. Every advancement in human rights, democracy, and equality has required determination and courage. In a world increasingly marked by polarization, misinformation, and global instability, it becomes easier to drift backwards rather than to move forward. Standing still in such times is not neutrality, it is surrender. France firmly believes that regression must never be accepted as inevitable. The defense of fundamental freedoms, equality before the law, and the respect for international cooperation demands active and continuous commitment. These values are not temporary political choices. They are universal principles that protect human dignity. Rowing against the current means choosing cooperation over division, justice over indifference, and action over silence. Our generation must not simply observe global challenges. We must confront them with determination and critical thinking. France looks forward to constructive debate and meaningful collaboration throughout this conference. Thank you all.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegation of Germany, you have the floor.
Honorable Chair, distinguished delegates, the Disarmament and International Security Committee was not created to observe threats. It was created to prevent them. Today, one of the most urgent threats before us is the rapid and largely unregulated spread of drones and dual-use technologies. Germany is deeply concerned that tools originally developed for civilian innovation and increasingly exploited by non-state actors and armed groups. With minimal cost and technical skill, these technologies can now be used to conduct surveillance, coordinate attacks, and destabilize entire regions. This is not distant risk, it is an ongoing reality. The longer the international community delays coordination action, the greater the danger becomes. The issue is not technology itself. Innovation must continue. The true problem is the absence of clear, enforceable international standards that prevent diversion into the wrong hands. Weak regulation and inconsistent national controls create gaps that malicious actors are quick to exploit. Security cannot exist where responsibility is optional. Germany, therefore, calls for practical, enforceable, and cooperative international measures, strong export controls, improved transparency, and coordinated mechanisms that ensure accountability. Regulation is not restriction, it's protection. Protection of civilians, protection of stability, and protection of international order we all depend upon. Distinguished delegates, history shows that emerging threats do not wait of consensus. The question before this committee is not whether action is necessary, but whether we will act in a time. Germany stands ready to work with all delegations prepared to pursue realistic and effective solutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegation of Iraq, you have the floor.
Fellow delegates and distinguished guests, it is my pleasure to welcome you all to GeMUN 2026 as the delegation of Iraq in DISEC committee. This year, GeMUN challenges us with a crucial theme, both against the current, choose evolution, not regression. For too long, international dynamics have been dictated by rigid patterns, repetitive diplomatic negotiations, unresolved conflicts, and approaches that fail to respond to an ever-changing global landscape. But we are here to challenge this status quo. Choosing evolution means recognizing stagnant structures and working towards solutions that bring real and lasting change. Diplomacy is not just about maintaining order, it is about progression. It is about moving beyond outdated frameworks and ensuring that global discussions lead to meaningful action rather than endless deliberation. We must be willing to question ineffective traditions, confront systematic inefficiencies, and engage in instructive dialogue to pave the way for a better future. As a young diplomat, we hold the power to shape our own future. Engaging in international dialogue is more than just an opportunity. It is also a responsibility. The issues we will debate these days will define the world we will live in tomorrow. Our voices matter, and our commitment to change must remain firm. We would like to extend our gratitude to everyone who has made this conference possible, our fellow delegates, esteemed experts, GeMUN directors, security staff, and press. Let us take a moment to recognize their efforts. Delegates, this is our moment to take the floor, to challenge, to propose, and to steer our course forward. Engage, debate, and make this experience meaningful. We wish you all an insightful and productive conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate, for your speech. Delegation of Mexico, you may approach the floor and deliver your speech.
Thank you for the floor. Honorable Secretary General, members of board, chairs, fellow delegates, and distinguished guests, press, and staff. The Delegation of Mexico welcomes you all to this year's GeMUN conference. We gather at a pivotal moment in international history. All across the globe, we are seeing a rise in geopolitical inequalities and tensions, deepening inequalities, and growing skepticism towards the very institutions built to safeguard peace and cooperation. The authority and influence of multilateral organizations, such as the United Nations, are facing unprecedented challenges. And yet, it is precisely in these moments that our responsibility is greatest. Mexico believes firmly in multilateralism. As a nation deeply interconnected through trade, migration, culture, and diplomacy, we understand that no country can confront global crises on their own. So whether it is climate crisis or public health crisis, economic instability, in collective action is not only optional, but it is essential. Dialogue alone is not enough, though. The world does not need carefully written statements. It needs progress, and it needs very tangible commitments. So if international institutions are to regain trust and legitimacy, we must deliver results and that improve lives of real people. So let this not be a symbolic exercise, but a demonstration of what cooperation can achieve. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegation of the Netherlands, you have the floor.
Honorable Secretariat, esteemed guests, and distinguished delegates. The delegation of the Netherlands is deeply honored to participate in this year's conference under the theme Boats Against the Current. Throughout history, humanity has often found itself sailing against powerful currents, moments of uncertainty, division, and resistance to change. In such time, progress depends on our willingness to move forward with determination. Today, the international community faces growing doubts about the strength and fairness of its global institutions. Progress demands accountability and, when necessary, the courage to reform. Standing together at the start of this conference, we are reminded that diplomacy is not static. It evolves with the world it seeks to serve. It requires responsibility and continuous effort to strengthen international cooperation. But as we begin our debates, we must ask ourselves, are the global structures truly representative of today's realities? Do they reflect fairness, equality, and shared responsibility? It is our collective duty to ensure that progress is embraced and that evolution remains the path we choose. This being now my last MUN, I would like to thank everybody for this amazing experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegation of Portugal, you have the floor.
Thank you, chairs, for the floor. Honorable chairs, distinguished delegates, indispensable staff, and dear guests. I'm very thankful and honored to be here today representing the Portuguese Republic at the opening of GeMUN. Portugal is a country shaped by dialogue, resilience, and deep connection to the world. As a nation with a strong maritime history, we know what it means to face uncertainty and still move forward. That is why this year's theme, Boats Against the Current, feels especially meaningful. It reminds us that progress is not always easy. Sometimes it means going against the tide, standing firm in our values, and choosing courage over comfort. We are meeting at a time when the world feels complex and divided. Climate change, armed conflict, inequality, and rapid technological change are challenges that affect us all. The currents today, in today's world, are strong, but like boats against those currents, we are not here to drift, we are here to steer together. Portugal believes deeply in cooperation. No country can solve these problems alone. Respect for international law, human rights, and multilateral dialogue are not just formal principles, they are the tools that allow us to build stability and trust. As a committed member of the United Nations and European Union, Portugal continues to support sustainable development, renewable energy, and intercultural understanding. To all delegates, this conference is more than a simulation. You are not just representing a country, You are practicing what it means to listen, to compromise, and to lead. In the spirit of boats against the current, be brave in your ideas, respectful in your disagreements, and open to perspective different from your own. Real diplomacy is not about winning. It is about finding a shared direction. May this GeMUN be remembered for the courage in your debates and your ability to find solutions. Thank you. I yield the floor back.
Thank you, Delegate, for your speech. Delegation of Serbia, you have the floor.
Honourable Secretary-General, distinguished chairs, fellow delegates and guests, it is an honour to address you today at the opening ceremony of GeMUN as a delegate of Serbia. I would like to begin by thanking everyone involved in the effort and commitment that made this conference possible. In a world where conflict, inequality and instability continue to challenge international peace, gatherings like this remind us that diplomacy is urgent and necessary. Modern United Nations gives us the opportunity to step into the role of global leaders and practice what the international community often struggles to achieve, such as cooperation, compromise, and mutual understanding. This conference is not simply about winning or defending positions. It is so much more. It is about learning how to build solutions, how to listen, and how to find common ground, even when perspectives may differ. Serbia believes strongly in dialogue and is prepared to work with all delegations in a respectful manner. Let us approach this conference with ambition, responsibility, and an open mind. I wish everyone a successful and inspiring GeMUN. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegation of Turkey, you have the floor.
Honorable chairs, fellow delegates, esteemed guests, we wish to thank you for having us here today. Our world is going through a time of changes. Our countries are regressing. We keep treading the world we worked so hard to achieve, our social situation, our economy. We are choosing to stand by instead of working for progression. It's our job to not regress. We must work for a worldwide progression in society, economics, and rights. In Turkey, we started working for progress in various sectors. In economy, we are going through a vast industrial transformation, planning to become one of the world's top 10 economies. Our political progress is highly possible due to the changes we are planning for our constitution, which will prioritize civilians and liberals. Education is on the rise as well. Since 2003, the amount of functionally illiterate teenagers has gone down from 36% to a mere 25%. Performance in scientific subjects has also increased. We trust that this time of regression is just an adverse wind, and that soon a breeze will push us back on the right path. In these 3 days, we hope to cooperate on a solution to our situations, trying to find the best ways to get us on a shore. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Delegate, for your speech. Delegation of the United States of America, you have the floor.
Good morning, everyone. As the delegation of the United States of America, we are very honored to be part of the Security Council in this GeMUN session. Today, we face complex and interconnected challenges, conflicts, terrorism, instability, and humanitarian crises that demand unity, diplomacy, and decisive action. The United States stands firmly for the principles enshrined in the UN Charter: sovereignty, human rights, and the peaceful resolution of disputes. We believe that dialogue must always precede division, and that multilateral solutions are stronger and more sustainable than unilateral ones. And a clear example of that are the P5 and their veto power. What we hope to see in the following days of debate is for us to rise above politics and embrace purpose, to negotiate in good faith, compromise where necessary, and lead with integrity. Together, we have the opportunity not only to simulate diplomacy, but to practice the leadership our world urgently needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegation of Venezuela, you may deliver your speech.
Good afternoon, everyone. We, Delegation of Venezuela, we are very glad to be here today and to take part in the SOCUM committee. We are grateful for this opportunity and to discuss of global issue. Our delegation is especially interested in the topic of misuse of power by law and government authorities, because we believe that we need to find a balance between the security and the human rights in order to build trust between the government and the citizen. We also think that by the dialogue, the cooperation, and the sharing of expression and experience can help us to improve a system that can face all these issues. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates, for entertaining your speeches. We would like to inform the delegation of Thailand in legal that they've forgotten their iPad in the conference, so they can find it next to the main door in this room. Before ending this opening ceremony, we would like to invite the MUN director Igor Lanzoni, because he has an announcement to make.
Just 1 second, no more. Just for explain the corner. In the corner, you have some special torch relay. As you know, we are celebrating the Olympic Games in Milano Cortina 2026. In few days, the light of Olympia will shut down. So it's a rare occasion. We have 3 rare flame, 2 I was torch bearer also, and Olympic athlete. So the first one is Torino 2006 in Italy, Winter Games. The second one is the only flame that make the tour of the world, 2004 Athens. So the Greek delegation can check and see the flame. And last but not the least, the flame of 1968, Mexico. A very big change at the time. Some negative point, because as you know, this flame was passed through the university, where university student was massacred for speak about freedom and peace. So this flame is very linked with the United model of today. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Lanzoni. It is now my pleasure to give the floor back to the Secretary General of GeMUN 2026, Giovanni Callera.
And with this, I would like to declare this GeMUN session officially open.
I would like to